Hello and welcome to Two Broads Opinions. I'm Katie King from theedgesexual.com.
And I'm Sharice Hodges from thesharicehodges.com.
Okay, and today we are sipping tea
Mm-hmm.
because Quincy done spilled all of it.
All the tea.
All.
All the tea.
I mean, like I thought I lived my life in a no fucks way,
Uh-uh.
but babe,
Quincy
baby,
had a box of fucks that was not taped at the bottom, and he just dropped them all to vulture.com.
I'm just hold on. Let me. Woo shit. So, if you haven't read the article, just Google Vulture, Quincy Jones, and you just see where he was like, "Bitch, I'm 84. What you gonna
What
do?
you gonna
Come
do?
for me.
Because your
Come for me."
mind, it will be blown. And some people are they're feeling some kind of way because he said all this stuff now, but didn't say it when he was, dealing with these people when most of these people were alive. But I'm like,
First
whatever.
off, I don't know if anybody has ever interacted with somebody in their 80s. That's usually
That's
when
usually
they
how they do.
see black people either do one or two things. They get real loose at the mouth right before death knocks on the door, or they go to the grave with the secret.
Yeah.
One or two things. Yeah, so anyway, just to recap some of the shit he said, basically he spilled the tea. He said Michael's a thief. He don't like nobody. Artists right now ain't shit. We're gonna come back to that because that spoke to me. He talks about who killed fucking Kennedy.
Kennedy and Richard Pryor had sex with
Yes, he
Marlon
talked about
Brando.
Hendrix wasn't shit, because he couldn't compare to like Herbie Hancock. He said the Beatles weren't shit. Paul wasn't shit. He said, in fact, he said Paul was the worst bass player I've ever heard, and he called the Beatles some no playing motherfuckers.
Yeah.
He said rock ain't shit, but white people R&B. Tell me something I don't know. He ain't said nothing that
Nothing.
Richard, Little Richard and
Richard
other
had,
people been
had saying for
saying
years.
for every fucking year. So if white people finally figure the fuck out, I don't know what music they got that ain't stolen, but that's a whole nother story. Let's see. Apparently, oh yeah, he dated Ivanka, and I don't know if that translates to a date or they fucked, but he might have been in a little Trump. You know what I'm saying? He he said you two then fell off, but Bono's still cool. And he said Marlon Brando was a hoe who fucked everything
Thing.
from mailboxes to Richard Pryor. Catholic churches are a scam. Work-life balance is important. We'll come back to that because I thought that was a good takeaway when he talked about his breakdown with the color purple. And apparently he likes motherfucker just like as much as
As much
Samuel
as
L.
what?
Jackson does.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it was shocking because you think of Quincy Jones, you think of like this dope producer. You think I don't know. I had thought Quincy was like some deep philosophical dude, so the motherfucker shocked me for like the first time I saw it. But then I'm like, go ahead, Quincy. What?
I never assumed that about Quincy. He always had a vibe like my
No.
daddy. So I just assumed he was just like old, dirty, old black man, like all the other old black men that I have encountered. So I ain't never assumed that. And
I
plus, he had
assume
an
that.
autobiography where he talked about he was a dog in a hole and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I never read
there's,
his autobiography. I,
yeah,
I build up
go.
stuff about people in my mind. And, that's why there's a lot of people that I just never want to meet. Because I have an image built up about you in my
Hmm.
head, and I don't want reality to come into play.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yo, Quincy's reality, I ain't mad at though.
Wait, hold on.
I hope that's not your calming tea.
Shut the hell up. But and this is what I don't get. Like my whole Facebook thing, like how you gonna disrespect the dead and blah blah blah. I'm like, everybody listen. First off, Richard Pryor wrote a biography where he himself outed himself having had gay experiences and was dating somebody. That autobiography came out over 20 years ago. It got resurrected when they started talking about making a Richard Pryor movie. Like, well, yeah, he sucked dick. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out why everybody all shocked. Like, he ain't really say shit. We ain't that Richard. Here's the thing: if you own your own story and tell your own truth, no
Exactly.
nobody can disrespect your memory because you've honored yourself by speaking in your truth and your experience. So all these motherfuckers are acting all fake. First off, my original problem is how do you feel like it's disrespectful just because somebody likes to fuck dudes or has fucked a dude? That's number
Exactly.
one.
And then it's like, okay, so are you upset because he's telling the story because they're not here? Because they've already said that they've done these things. Quincy didn't
People
say it.
don't know.
They don't,
People don't
because
know that
people
Richard
don't
Pryor.
read.
People don't know that Richard Pryor. They're like, you got to be a true fan. I ain't even a true fan, but I knew that. I mean, and I'm a fan. I've watched most of his specials. I've watched a lot of Richard Pryor. He was more my dad's generation because he passed. I think I was a
Yeah.
teenager or something.
I remember
But
getting
I knew
I remember
enough.
getting
And
locked out the house because there was a Richard Pryor 8-track that my dad, my uncle, and my older cousin they were listening to, and they locked all of the women out of the house. Well, I was a little girl, but they locked us all out of the house so they could listen to it. So it's like, you know, even I think even in his comedy, he's hinting at that.
I was thinking I couldn't remember, but I was like, this is he ain't so yeah. People and they faint like
It's just like I
I,
said. People do like I do. They build up stuff in their head. They don't read and they, gloss over. And after a black person dies, most of the time they're all sainted. They want to make like this person was such a saint when they were alive and they want to ignore a lot of the real
they
stuff about
retell their
them.
story,
They retell the
also
story.
known as Martin Luther King.
Absolutely. Because, if on Martin Luther King Day, nobody ever says Martin was murdered or when he was killed. No, he was murdered. He was
He was murdered,
assassinated.
but even the messages, he was about economic empowerment. He was
Exactly.
about all these things they gloss over, like, oh, he was so passive and so peaceful. And
Yeah.
I'm like, they gloss over because they have white people
Wow.
have
Have
retold
told
his
his story.
story. And that's all they do. And so we've done the same thing within our community. We've retold their story.
Mm-hmm.
One, because we don't take the time to learn the story. And just it's better to just say, oh, he was a comedian and leave it at that and then feign shock. Like, well, you didn't want to know. So anyway, but baby, that is the no fucks level I aspire to be. I ain't there yet.
But
But
you
one day.
close. But you real close though.
I'm
This weekend, I had a chance to hang out with my dad. My dad is probably about 5 months from being there.
Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Part of the interview really set me the wrong way. Was willing to talk about anybody and everybody except
Except
Bill
Bill
Cosby.
Cosby. Yeah.
I mean, like he asked him the question a couple times, and he finally goes, "Oh, we can't talk
Talk
about
about
this
that
in
in
public."
public. Yeah. So
I'm like,
it's like, were you in on the Quaalude episodes?
I don't know what. Like he'll throw everybody under the bus, and I don't actually think just saying that somebody slept with another man is throwing them under the bus at all. I'm just not on
But
that camp. Who you fucking see?
in a broad sense of many folks in the black community that is throwing them under the bus.
But the fact that he wouldn't talk about Bill Cosby's sexual assault, and drugging women,
Assaults,
rape. Actually,
rapes,
when drugging is rape.
rapes.
Yeah, like I don't know. I'm not to
That
be one of those people, but I'm feeling some kind of way about that. So yeah, that's what was a little shady, iffy to
yeah.
me.
Now that was the part where you're like, okay, what now? Because and then it's not like you can say, well, he's not talking about icons because everybody that he spoke about was an icon. So
Hmm.
well, when you
But
start
yeah,
calling Michael Jackson a thief, you stepping on toes of millions of people who thought Michael could do no wrong.
talk about the talent of the Beatles and
The
Paul and
Beatles and
Jimi
Paul,
Hendrix and
yeah,
U2. Because he said, yeah, women have always had to take shit. Women and blacks, we both have glass ceilings. He said, and I'm not saying as a black woman, I know I hit it doubly. I'm
yeah,
not saying as a black man you don't have hurdles, you do. And I'm not saying as a woman you don't have hurdles. White women don't have the same hurdles, and Lord knows they got less hurdles than the two groups I just mentioned. But
absolutely,
for him to kind of do that in such a way to ignore the issues of women, to say, oh yeah, we get it too. I had a
hmm
problem. And then the next statement was like, oh yeah, Harvey Weinstein, all of them. And then the guy said, and Bill Cosby, and then that's when they shut down. We can't talk about
yeah.
that in public. So unless it's something like he getting ready to testify, like he been called to testify some shit,
Or there's some
uh,
pictures showing him putting Quaaludes in the alcohol with Bill
then
Cosby.
that's kind of what sent me the wrong way on that interview. Like everybody's so worried about Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye, getting a little Marlon Brando ass, but what you need to be worried about is how it's still kind of swept under the rug and protected. And that's a problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, here's something he said that I really, so he talked about how he ain't really like nobody. And
Hmm.
that was said throughout the interview, that he didn't like music nowadays. He didn't like the people putting out music. He ain't like none of that.
Yeah.
But when he really kind of delved down, and he said it several different ways, but it really boiled down to he didn't like shit these folks were doing because nobody nowadays is taking the time to learn and study their craft. And
Yeah.
as an artist, that spoke to me as an artist in the
Yeah.
world of other artists who are doing the exact
That
same
same
thing,
thing.
and the quality of the product has gone down. And so now, if I say I'm an author or a romance author, that quality that's now been pushed for profit because nobody learns their craft, that they think that's what I do. They think that's what you do.
Yeah,
They,
and
you know what I'm saying?
they
So
look at you like, oh, you do that? Oh,
right,
okay. Like, have you
right.
read what I do though?
And he said it best. He said, "You've got to respect the gift God gave you by learning your craft."
Exactly.
And let me tell you, that is all, like, you know, I know people with MFAs who are always reading and learning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we know we got friends on bestseller lists. They always got books that
Books,
they're using
reading
and
and
learning.
learning.
Reading and learning. Hell, both of us were always reading
Read.
and learning our craft, and that's what it is. It's studying your craft. And then if you really look at when he talks about music, he loves music on a global scale. So he knows he's talking with he's talking about the Brazilian musicians and all this. And so, and I think he has a beta test of a network that's just mainly music. And so when you study not just pop music, if you're a pop artist, but study R&B
Oh,
and B and study rock and study country and study jazz and study salsa and merengue and study the music coming out of Africa and the music coming out of Ireland, and you just study on a global scale, and
and
you know,
you make a better product. You make something that doesn't just speak
because
to
you've learned
one
your
group of
craft.
people. You know,
That's, and even if even if you do create something that, okay, this is my audience, what you've done is created a better
and
product. What you've done is created a product that stands out a little bit because what you've done is learn your craft. You've
and you might
perfected
teach
and
your
perfect,
audience something,
but it's not perfect
and you
because we're
might teach
always learning.
something.
Nothing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that crosses all spectrums of artistry and actually life, if we're being honest here.
And
So
another
that
thing too, that's so important, but it's going to be missed because we're
he said,
worried
Richard
about
Pryor.
Richard Pryor. We're worried about him saying Michael Jackson was a thief. We're worried about all this other stuff. You know, it's like, but you can actually learn something from Quincy in this interview, not just these quote unquote secrets, but you can learn something about being an artist, about living life, about learning, about continuing to grow. Because even at 84 years old, if Quincy called up one of them artists that he don't like and was like, "Hey, let me teach you something," I'm guessing that they would not hang up the phone.
I would guess that some of them would.
Some of them would, but I mean, if Quincy called Bruno Mars, I don't think Bruno Mars would
Well,
hang up the phone.
but also Bruno Mars was one of the people he listed as liking.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
listed three people: Bruno Mars, Kendrick Lamar, Chance the Rapper, as people who kind of stood out. Shout out to Chicago, Chance the Rapper. What's up?
Okay, well, you know,
Um,
Bruno Mars is the only like person that's alive that I actually listen to, so that's why that's the
okay, well,
name that I went with.
oh, okay, yeah, okay. So you listen to what's old dude? Come Together. Well,
Oh,
who
Gary
redid
Clark,
Gary Clark Jr.
Gary Clark Jr.
And
Yeah.
I love him because well, you're not as much as you do, but I like that rock R&B thing, like Van Hunt. You know, I love me some Van
Oh
Hunt.
my God,
Uh,
you love Van Hunt? I love Van Hunt.
we've had this conversation.
I was
I love
listening to Van Hunt on my way home today.
I love Van Hunt. I've been listening to Van Hunt. This years ago before Kanye got big famous. I went to a concert of his in Atlanta for like $5, and Van Hunt opened. And ever since then, I've been a fan.
Wow.
Uh, that was over a decade ago. That was a long time ago. But anyway, but the other golden nugget that came from this interview, and you're right, everybody's gonna miss all this golden stuff for the juicy tea,
Yeah.
was work life balance. he talked about how he had a breakdown during The Color Purple, and he was explaining because when it finished, everybody took a break and went to relax, and he had a whole nother project, so he had to score the film, and he had another project, and it was too much, and he
Mm-hmm.
never gave himself a break, and that's something we need to work on, and we always amongst ourselves and our sisterhood of other romance writers talk about how important self-care is. But that's
Exactly.
another thing that came out the article that was great, the importance of self-care. He
Care.
said he never to do that again, and that we don't give ourselves, we over, and especially as black women, we always carrying the burden and the shoulder of doing everything,
Mule of
of
the world.
hello, of managing everything, and we don't take time
Time.
to manage and care for ourselves. And
Yeah.
so I think that was also another good, like there was some good things in that article, but like you said, they're going to get missed because Richard Pryor and Marvin
And
Gaye
and
and Kennedy and
and the mafia and all of
and
this stuff.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
one thing that we cannot miss from this article is that Quincy is a Pisces. And that reporter caught him on a down fish day. Because on a down fish day, a Pisces don't care what flies out of our mouths. I'm Pisces, March 1st. Stop looking at me like that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the tea that was spilled today. And I hope that as much as you enjoyed all the fucks he didn't have and the tea he did spill, I hope you took away the good lessons, which is you never stop learning your craft
Take care of
and
yourself.
take care of yourself. And that's been Two Broads. And you know what the fuck we excited to talk about? Baby, bye.
What?
Baby, bye.